What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Tuesday Talks. I'm your boy Dave and you're watching the Photographer Diaries. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that is kind of relevant to me, and that's kind of do you need to go to school to become a photographer or to be in the film industry? Let me give you a little background story on myself. 12 years ago, I graduated from culinary school. I went right into the field, started working my way up to the ranks, made it all the way up to a head chef, and my last position that I held was actually executive sous chef at a big high-end restaurant. So, did I need to go to school for culinary? Yes and no. It's very much up to you and how you learn and how you take on things. So for culinary, I always recommend people, honestly, don't go. It's a huge waste of money, to be honest with you. It's a huge waste of money in my opinion. I felt like I went into culinary school and I left really not knowing a whole lot that I already knew when I went in. See, I've been cooking ever since I was a kid. I knew how to cook. I knew all the techniques on how to do things. I grew up watching nothing but Gordon Ramsay and other food channels, so I already had the idea and I knew how to put flavors together. I really just lacked the technical terms for things. But you can learn that on your own, right? Like you could read a book, you could watch YouTube videos, you could do other things like that to be able to learn these techniques and grow. Really, you don't need to go and waste $40,000 to $50,000. It's probably more now. I don't know, to go to cooking school and to be able to get an entry-level position in the field, because you don't go to culinary school and get out and become a chef. Even though a lot of culinary students have that mindset, that's not how it works. You still go to school, you still start in a beginner or entry-level position, and you work your way up from there. It took me, I'll give you kind of a rough example, right? So I went to a very small culinary school in my town. It was actually a medical college when I went. And funny enough is, right when I got into school, I took my first cooking job. That first cooking job was teppanyaki. If you don't know what teppanyaki is basically Benihana style flare cooking, right? You cook on a flat grill and you're flipping stuff around. I loved it, right? But I started at the very bottom. So I started at doing prep work, stuff like that. Once I honed my skills to be able to work a table, I was able to do that. I actually trained for 3 months for free under the table at a dude's, basically in a dude's garage, learning the skills and the techniques. I already knew how to cook, but I didn't know how to do the show stuff. After that, I went on to doing Italian restaurants, and I always started as a line cook, which is the base level that you get in, right? From there, I moved on. I took my first executive chef job at 22, and it was probably the worst mistake that I ever did, but it was also probably the best thing that I ever did because I learned from that mistake. I knew that I wasn't ready to be able to lead a team. I did that for a year. I did pretty good. The menu that I wrote and the food that I wrote was solid, but I didn't know how to really manage a team well, and that's what I learned walking away from it. In actually about last year, I completely quit cooking and I started doing photography and filmmaking. Not saying that I've been doing photography for about 10 years, right? But for 10 years, it was on and off because I was cooking and I was trying to pursue this dream of becoming this world famous chef, right? It didn't happen. But if you look my name up, you'll find some cool stuff about me cooking, but that's a whole other thing. Cooking, da 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 da. Now, granted, I'm 32 years old. I'm currently attending a community college, and I'm going for photography. So, oh, my light just died. Awesome. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm currently going to school for photography. And now, I'm not really going to school to go to school to get an associate's degree or anything like that. It was kind of more, I want to be able to completely consume myself within the photography world, right? So I want to learn as much as I can about photography and filmmaking and all that stuff. Even though I've been doing this for 10 plus years, I want to be able to learn like techniques that I don't think that I could pick up from just learning it or from just going online. Also, I think having a paper of some sort, whether it's an associate's degree or certificate degree, whatever it is, I think that does help in the long run if you're trying to go for more corporate jobs, or if you want to get in at like an in-house studio or something like that. See, I actually own my own business. I'm a wedding photographer and filmmaker, so I don't really plan on going that route as far as going to another company to get some work, but it doesn't hurt to have that. Do you need it though? No. I don't think that you need to go to school for creative industry. I think the best way to really do it is really get in with some of the top pros, right? Find some people that you look up to. It never hurts to ask. The worst that can happen is they're gonna say no. That's it, move on, find somebody else. But you still put your name out there, and maybe, just maybe down the road, they will hit you up. Here's a good example. I'm kind of very much an introvert. I know it doesn't come off that way with YouTube, but obviously I'm here with myself and I'm just talking to a camera, so I'm not in front of a big group of people. And I think other YouTubers like Taylor Jackson and Manny Ortiz can really kind of vouch to this, that it's easier because we're by ourselves, we're not with people. Being introverted has to do with being socially awkward around other people, right? Not yourself. So earlier last year, I went to a wedding photography convention called WPPI. I was standing in line ordering food, and I saw a photographer that I actually really looked up to. I knew about his work, and I knew what he stood for photography. So I kind of glanced over and I looked at his badge. It said speaker. The name clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Jonathan Thorpe. So I've been looking up to Jonathan Thorpe's work for a long time when I used to do a lot of off-camera flash and wanted to do this kind of cool commercial stuff. He's very similar to photographers like Joey L, Joel Grimes, stuff like that. He has a very similar aesthetic, but obviously his own flair. Being introverted, I would normally not be like, what's up, dude? I love your work, da 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 da. But we're we have similar interests. So I knew that if I even just say, hey man, like, I appreciate your work, love what you're doing, that's all I really needed to say, right? So we're both waiting in line, we're waiting for our food, and it's taking forever. I think I turned to him, I crack a joke about how long we're waiting, right? And then I look at him and say, hey man, I really like your work. I would love to help you out any way I can. Let me know, I'm here at WPPI for 3 days, blah, 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 blah. He instantly said, hey man, you wanna help me out with a masterclass? I was like, yes, please, let's do it. So he upgraded my badge, got me into a couple other classes. I got to hang out with some other big photographers, and then I just basically assisted him in his masterclass by setting up lights and running some audio. I did some behind the scenes for him, and that kind of grew our relationship. But now I can say Jonathan is actually a friend of mine now. So I'm not trying to knock anybody who's trying to go to school, thinks that's their only route, and they think that they need that for the industry. What I'm really trying to get at is you don't need to go to school for the industry. Just practice your craft, get out there and shoot, and meet some people. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So get out there and start knowing people. All right guys, that's all I have for Tuesday Talks. Remember to smash that like button, turn the notification bells on, hit subscribe if you're not. I'll see you in the next one. Create, document, and inspire. Peace.